They told you freedom came with adulthood, that once you got the job, the income, the paycheck, you'd finally be free. Free to go where you want, do what you want, be who you want. But here you are, working full-time and still feeling trapped. If you've ever caught yourself wondering, why do I feel stuck when I'm getting paid? You're not alone. Today, we're going to talk about a hard truth. Your paycheck isn't your freedom. And unless you see the trap, you might spend your entire life running in circles, mistaking survival for liberation. Let's start with a question. What does freedom mean to you? For most people, it's not just money. It's control over their time. It's the ability to say no, to rest without guilt, to not feel like life is constantly escaping through your fingers. But here's where the illusion begins. We're taught that as long as we earn a paycheck, especially a steady one, we're free. But look closer. How free can you really be when you can't afford to miss a single paycheck without spiraling? You live month to month, just trying to make ends meet. Your job consumes most of your energy, leaving little for anything else. This isn't freedom, it's dependence. It's just a socially acceptable form of captivity. Now, let's be clear. Earning money isn't the problem. The problem is when we confuse earning with owning our lives. A paycheck can keep the lights on, yes. But if you have no time, no energy, and no peace, it's not freedom. It's just a leash with a salary tag. Let's zoom in on how this leash works. First, there's the illusion of stability. You get hired, you're told your income is safe, maybe even competitive, but beneath the surface, you're constantly aware that a single layoff, economic downturn, or health issue could disrupt everything. Your entire livelihood is tied to one source. That's not stability. That's fragility. And because you know it, deep down, you become afraid to speak up, set boundaries, or explore other paths. You stay quiet. You tolerate things that drain you. You say yes when you want to say no. That's not freedom. That's fear. Then comes lifestyle inflation. The moment your income rises, so do your expenses. New apartment, better phone, nicer clothes, more nights out. And suddenly, that new paycheck doesn't feel like breathing room. It feels like a new baseline to maintain. Now you're not just working to survive. You're working to sustain an image. You can't downsize without shame. You can't slow down without guilt. Because your lifestyle is now tied to your identity, and the paycheck has become the lifeline holding it all together. So you keep going, harder, longer, even when you're burned out, even when it hurts. That's not freedom. That's survival in disguise. Let's talk about time. Ask yourself, how much of your week is actually yours? Most people spend 40+ hours at work. Add commuting, prepping, recovering from stress. The leftovers? That's your life. And even during those moments, your mind is often still at work, stressing about deadlines, bills, emails, expectations. So your paycheck isn't just buying your time, it's renting your mind. Freedom means being able to step away, to rest, to create, to reflect. But how many people actually get that? Here's the part that hurts. Many of us were raised to believe that working hard would set us free, that sacrifice today would mean freedom tomorrow. But what if the system was never built to reward your sacrifice with peace? What if it was built to keep you chasing? See, the world runs on your exhaustion, on your willingness to trade time for money again and again, while never asking if it's really worth it. Because once you start questioning, things unravel. You start wondering, why am I always tired? Why do I dread Mondays? Why does life feel like a checklist instead of a story? And suddenly, that paycheck doesn't feel like a gift. It feels like a pacifier. Just enough comfort to stop you from revolting, but not enough freedom to truly live. So what now? Do we just quit everything? No, but we start by telling the truth. The truth that a paycheck is a tool, not a ticket to liberation. And that unless you design your life around freedom, not just income, you'll always feel trapped. Let's break this down even more. There are 3 main reasons your paycheck doesn't equal freedom. First, it depends on constant performance. You're only secure as long as you're useful. The moment your productivity dips, or your health declines, or someone younger and cheaper shows up, you become disposable. That's not freedom. That's conditional survival. Second, it creates emotional debt. You start associating your worth with what you earn. You feel ashamed during slow seasons. You tie your identity to your productivity. This emotional weight isn't talked about enough, but it's real, and it keeps people stuck in silence and self-doubt. And third, it discourages alternative thinking. The more dependent you are on your paycheck, the less likely you are to take risks, to build something on the side, to say no to toxic environments. Fear becomes your boss, even if it's not on the org chart. So what does real financial freedom look like? Not luxury, not millions in the bank. It looks like breathing room. It looks like margin. It looks like being able to say, I don't have to do this. I choose to. That's the difference. Freedom is the power to choose. When your paycheck controls you, you don't have that power. When your fear of losing income outweighs your peace of mind, you're not free. But when you start building a life that isn't solely dependent on one source, one job, one identity, you begin to regain that power. Now, that journey takes time. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Because freedom is priceless. And if you don't fight for it, no one else will. So how do you start reclaiming that freedom? First, redefine what enough means for you. Not by society's standards, not by your coworker's lifestyle, yours. Ask yourself, how much do I really need to feel safe, rested, and alive? Often, the number is less than you think. Second, diversify your life's meaning. If your only source of value comes from work, then losing it will feel like losing yourself. Instead, nurture other identities. Artist, friend, learner, caregiver, builder. Your paycheck is part of you, but it's not all of you. Third, create options. Even small savings can give you breathing space. A side project can build confidence. Setting boundaries can protect your energy. Freedom doesn't start when you make 6 figures. It starts when you stop tying your soul to your salary. Understand this. You were not born to serve a system. You were born to create, to feel, to grow, to rest, to love, to dream. A paycheck can help sustain you, but only you can define what freedom really looks like. So the next time someone says, "At least you have a good job," smile gently and ask yourself quietly, "But do I feel free?" If the answer is no, don't panic. That question means you're awake now. And that is the first step toward everything you've been missing. So if no one has told you this yet, you don't have to run faster. You don't have to comply more. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You are already worthy. And the moment you realize that, any trap starts to lose its grip.